What if ESPN crossed the line? And Caitlin Clark has the receipts to prove it. The WNBA superstar just dropped a legal bomb, accusing the network of a calculated racial smear campaign. But here's what they never expected. Clark isn't just fighting for her reputation. She's exposing the dark side of sports media. This isn't a game. It's war. And the truth? It's about to explode.
Caitlin, I know you mentioned that, you want to focus straight on basketball. Definitely respect that. But when, just asking you directly, when people use your name for racism, misogyny, whatever, what is your response to that specifically?
Yeah, I think it's disappointing. I think, everybody in our world, deserves the same amount of respect. The women on our league deserve the same amount of respect. So people should not be using my name to push those agendas. It's disappointing. It's not acceptable. But yeah, I mean, this league is a league I grew up admiring and wanting to be a part of.
Caitlin Clark isn't just dropping buckets, she's dropping lawsuits. The WNBA phenom just made a power move off the court, slapping ESPN with a bombshell legal filing that's sending shockwaves through sports media. Here's the deal. Clark is calling foul on what she says is a malicious, race-baiting smear campaign, one designed to torch her reputation, and she's not backing down. So what went down? An ESPN reporter allegedly crossed the line, turning Clark's meteoric rise into a toxic narrative. But Caitlin? She's flipping the script, taking ESPN to court in a career-defining stand. Think about it. One of the biggest names in basketball, risking it all to say, enough. Is this about justice, principle, or a warning shot to media giants who play dirty? One thing's clear, this isn't just a lawsuit. It's a statement. And the sports world, they're glued to the drama. Your take, smart play by Clark, or a risky gamble? Sound off, this story's just heating up. The explosive claim? That ESPN deliberately twisted her words, portraying her as a privileged white athlete fueling racial division. But Caitlin Clark isn't staying silent. She calls the narrative not just false, but dangerously defamatory. And if what she says is true, this isn't just about misrepresentation. It's about a media machine pushing a story that could tear people apart. So, what really happened? Let's break it down.
Go to work on Stolke. Reese flips it up and in. She draws a cut. Clark, step back. It's a three. Offensive rebound. Put back. Reese in the lane. There's an option and one. 6 on the.
The sports world is in shock. Fans are fired up. Tensions are boiling. And now, ESPN is scrambling to do damage control. But this isn't just another viral hot take. No, this is a high-stakes war over truth, influence, and who really gets to shape the story in women's sports. So, who's calling the shots, and who's getting played?
Argue that it hurts the game more if they had given her a roster spot over someone more deserving.
So go ahead and argue.
That's exactly what I'm saying, because I think it makes a mockery of the women's game. If the focus on, now we just have to have people because of marketing and their attention, and they're not as talented, and we're not putting the best team out there.
What did you just say?
They're not as talented.
Say it again to my face.
And they're not as talented.
Come again?
And they're not as talented.
The controversy exploded after an ESPN segment implied that Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise wasn't just about talent, but about race. The suggestion that her success is tied to her whiteness. And worse, that she may have distanced herself from black teammates to build a white savior image. It's a bold claim, and it's lighting a fire across the sports world.
Yeesh, guys. It's wild that a league would do this to the one person in their 20-plus years of existence who could actually pull them out of obscurity and into the spotlight. For the last decade, they've practically been begging for money at every turn.
I do feel like the pay gap would be something that, we could just take a donation around the NBA maybe.
They were so strapped for cash that Kyrie Irving had to step in and support them during the pandemic. Now, given how Caitlin has been treated all year, the constant abuse she's faced both on...
Then the clip went nuclear, blowing up online and triggering outrage from every corner, supporters and critics alike. But Caitlin Clark's legal team isn't just crying foul. They're going on the offensive. Their claim? That this wasn't sloppy journalism. It was a calculated move. They're accusing the reporter of deliberately editing footage to push a divisive narrative. If that's true, it changes everything. So, was this just bad reporting? Or something much deeper? Let's finish at the rim.
Clark goes behind her back. Oh my goodness. And
Now, subpoenas are flying, and ESPN's legal team is in full-blown damage control. But this isn't just about Caitlin Clark anymore. This case could redefine how athletes are portrayed in the media. The real question isn't just whether Clark comes out on top. It's whether the entire sports media empire can survive the fallout. The game has changed, and the clock is ticking.
Woman who has captivated the entire globe. Sells out arenas everywhere she goes. Now she's a member of the Indiana Fever. Ladies and gentlemen, Caitlin Clark.
Jersey.
Hey, thank you so much for coming.
Hi. How we doing? Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Oh, you got the cereal too?
yeah, I opened it though, so don't judge.
We got 2 bucks.
And just like that, we've got two sides, and the bark is getting louder. Clark's defiance has turned her into a rallying cry for athletes fed up with being reduced to clickbait. Enough is enough, she said. This wasn't journalism, it was character assassination. Now, social media is in overdrive. Nest's Stand With Caitlin is trending, while critics accuse her of flipping the script and playing the victim. So who's really telling the truth, and who's just spinning it?
Anything less than that?
how will she go for history?
Everybody wants to be the number one team.
Nobody has beaten South Carolina.
I feel pressure. They wanted more. If you want something, you gotta make sacrifice for it.
But one thing's crystal clear. Caitlin Clark isn't backing down. And with Discovery likely to pull back the curtain on ESPN's editorial process, this lawsuit could blow the lid off how media narratives are really made. Buckle up, because this isn't just a scandal, it's a reckoning. If you stand with Caitlin's fight, hit that like button. Share this video to help expose the truth, and don't forget to subscribe for every breaking update as this story unfolds.
Possession for Iowa.
Oh, on that.
It started with just a 30-second clip. But the fallout? This could echo for decades. During what seemed like a routine post-game breakdown, an ESPN reporter dropped a bomb. Let's be real, Caitlin Clark's popularity isn't just about basketball, it's about whiteness. In that moment, everything changed. The line blurred between analysis and accusation, and now the sports world is on fire.
The focus on this suggests that we hold women to a different standard than men.
Yeah, I mean, I think men have always had trash talk. That's what it's been. And I think more and more people, as they turn on the game,
The segment was cut like a hit piece, splicing Caitlin Clark's interviews with ominous music, framing her as someone exploiting racial bias to overshadow her black peers. Within hours, the video exploded. Millions of views. Hashtags like, "That's Clark is overrated," and "That's WNBA white privilege" started trending fast. But Clark's camp isn't holding back. They say this wasn't just sloppy journalism, it was sinister by design. A targeted attack built to tear her down.
Now they see the turnover. Clark behind the back, and then Zandalicini grabbed her. Coach Reese on the floor. Xander was... And they are going to the monitor.
And now, they're going to the monitor. Insiders have revealed that the clip was edited with surgical precision. Crucial context was cut out. In the full interview, Caitlin Clark praised her teammates and even discussed the physicality of the league. But none of that made it to the final edit. Instead, ESPN framed her as a cold, calculating outsider, playing right into toxic stereotypes. Clark's team is clear. This wasn't an accident. This was a hit job.
Big fan of NIL. It's complicated like every good new thing is. So much of that was happening anyway without really protecting the players and their opportunity. But my favorite part, Larry, is the women who are coming out with these NIL deals, and they are significant and they're deserved. They deserve them. They're coming out now of college as business women. So some of our rookies, not just Caitlin, the rookies go to the league, they get drafted, the league puts contracts in front of them. You've probably heard this story, Sheila.
Legal experts and player associations are in agreement. If this is proven true, ESPN could face more than just a lawsuit. This could be a full-blown credibility crisis. And the timing? It couldn't be worse. Caitlin Clark was already under fire, battling accusations of stat padding and flopping from rival fans. Now, she's not just fighting for her career, she's fighting for her legacy.
They see the turnover, Clark behind the back, and then Zandalicini grabbed her.
Well, something to the officials here.
Zandalicini holding her face.
The backlash? Instant and fierce. Former players, analysts, even rival coaches. Everyone was weighing in. They blasted ESPN for reckless journalism. Hall of Famer Cheryl Swoops hit back hard, tweeting, "Since when do we reduce athletes to their race instead of their stats?" The question hit home, and the support for Caitlin Clark started to pour in.
What does this moment say about basketball, and what does it say about the way the public is embracing the male and the female athlete?
You are looking at basketball at such a high level right now. There's so many eyes, especially on the game of women's basketball. It continues to elevate. And so Caitlin's having a really special season, a really special career with basketball. And it's great to appreciate that. You look at it.
Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's teammates rallied behind her, calling the narrative disgusting and divisive. But by then, the damage was already done. Sponsors hesitated, trolls multiplied, and Clark, who had remained silent through previous controversies, finally snapped. Her lawsuit? It's not just about clearing her name. It's about holding the media accountable for its actions. This is bigger than basketball. It's a fight for the truth.
That stuff that you just create the new market.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's not an established playbook, and I am very lucky to be working with Alan Zucker, who's like probably one of the most iconic and prolific marketing agents in the history of sports.
Caitlin Clark's legal team didn't just file a lawsuit, they declared war. The 50-page complaint drops serious accusations: defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and even civil rights violations. But the most damning part? This is just the beginning of a fight that could reshape how the media treats athletes.
Oh, Caitlin goes down and is grabbing at her left ankle. Oh no. Clark, as the whistle blows, and Clark seeming after going down.
And now the evidence is out. ESPN producers allegedly discussed amping up the racial angle to boost ratings. If true, this isn't just a scandal, it's proof of systemic manipulation. They turned Caitlin Clark into a villain for one reason: to sell ads. Her attorney seethed. Now they'll answer for it.
Famous sportsmen and women. To get the ball rolling, and this is for each of you.
All right.
Okay.
Hannah.
Oh.
What was the most important sports story of the year?
Okay, ladies first, right? So I'm going to talk about the ladies, and I'm going to talk about the proliferation of women's sports and that much debated and discussed term, the Caitlin Clark effect, which is really an umbrella term for everything that happened in sports because it was so much more far-reaching, right? So the stage that was set, the kindling that was there from years of great college basketball and 25 years of the WNBA was lit aflame.
Legal analysts say Caitlin Clark's case hinges on two explosive claims. First, that ESPN knowingly distorted the facts, and second, that the network has a history of targeting high-profile women athletes. Subpoenas have already been issued for internal emails and unaired footage. If Clark's team uncovers a smoking gun, like producers admitting to sensationalism, the fallout could obliterate ESPN's reputation. Meanwhile, the reporter at the center of the storm has gone radio, silent, only fueling the fire.
But there's a broader issue here that can't be escaped. And that is this. She is a white young lady. And she's been a magnet in a way that has benefited the league in ways that others have not.
The stakes couldn't be higher. A win for Caitlin Clark could force networks to adopt stricter editorial standards, setting a precedent for accountability. But a loss? It might embolden clickbait-driven journalism, where profit trumps truth. This case isn't just about Caitlin. It's about every athlete who's ever been misrepresented for profit. As media ethicist Dr. Leila Rodriguez put it, this is a battle for integrity in sports journalism.
On the day my older brother learned to ride his bike with no training wheels, I did too, because I was so mad that like he could do it, but I couldn't.
There's the princess. Caitlin had a small pink bike, and we really hadn't taught her how to ride the bike, but we were teaching Blake.
So I like got out my pink bike and I'm like, Mom, take my training wheels off, let's go.
The pedal that's up, put your other
Well, Katie, now that Blake's learned to ride, Katie's giving it a shot, and she's doing quite well.